Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm your host, the Fantasy Clown, along with the real Brad Smith. We're coming to you after week 2. So we're at halfway to the quarter pole, 2 weeks in, and I always like to look at my teams after 4 weeks. I know, Brad, you manage your teams differently than me, but just kind of been talking. You said you had a great fantasy football week.
Yeah, I mean, I took a lot of W's this week.
Does that put you in a lot of one-and-ones for record, or are you 2-0?
A lot of one-and-ones. I took a lot of L's last week.
Gotcha. So I feel like I started a lot of 2-0s, but do have some one-and-ones. And the one important thing to me that we'll get to here in a moment was the survivor pool, which I'm wearing the Raven shirt today as kind of a mourning thing because they lost. And I actually thought the game was well in hand. And then Gardner came back and did Minshew type things. And so I bought the shirt. So now I own the shirt. And so here we are. I'm kind of feeling like, man, I only lasted 1 week in Survivor. So there's many other people though. So looking at DraftKings, this week, we had Rick Topher with 126.04 first place, and W. O'Brien 93 with a 125.12. So not even a full point difference for first and second place. And then I came in third place and out of the money, 124.32. So I wasn't even a full point behind. And I had Cooper Kupp in my lineup. So that tells you what you need to know there. They pulled him out of the game late in the game. So, 2 more receptions and I win. And, or maybe even 1 more reception and I win, 1 reception for 10 yards and I have a win. So, that's kind of where those things stand. But now we have another injury in place in DraftKings. So I want to encourage you guys, come take money. There's money there to be had in the DraftKings lineup. Looking at the survivor pool, and I guess this will get us ready for next year, maybe to have a high price rebuy-in if you get eliminated early. That definitely is gaining some steam. But we started out with 28 entries, and we eliminated 7 more this week. So there's only 14 people left. So 50% of the people in Clownheads are now eliminated, and so the pool is definitely less. All but 6 of us had the Ravens, so that was kind of the team that we got eliminated on. And then JDM, he actually hit the wrong button, and he actually had the Carolina Panthers, and he wanted to have the Chargers. So I kind of feel bad for him, and because the people that won had the Chargers, so he was on the right side or on the right game, and just kind of clicked the button. So good lesson that you have to make sure it saves and make sure it's the right team. But feeling bad for him definitely to be eliminated on a team he didn't even want to play, and an awful team at that. So really makes for having it come back. But so looking at the people eliminated: Fantasy Clown, JDM 1989, America's Team, Psalm 3303, JSL 111, Wandada 21, Circle of Wagons, all gone this week. So that's really eliminated it. And next year, not only I think we'll have one survivor that has a rebuy-in ability, 1 week, you'll be able to buy back in after a loss. But we may have a couple of survivor pools because, a lot of fun and be a lot of fun to have a couple different entries and that sort of thing. So, feel like, now it loses some of its luster doing the show without that being there. Looking at redraft leagues, best ball, letter A, it looks like we, had our top score, Shippa 19 with a 293.06. And, that he's had the top score both weeks now. So, really, really on to something in that kind of league. And then best ball B, King Kong 34, 321.94. So the first time, in the top score column there. Redraft 1, we have Kamish with a 243.27. And that's the first time, as the top scorer there. And then redraft 3, Hot Sauce Wally with a 292.63. That's actually a returning top score. So both weeks in a row, he had the top score there. And those are both the redraft leagues. When we start looking at the dynasty leagues, that's kind of what we built the community based on, is the dynasty play. And so looking at Clownhead 1, Jay Batista 10, 270.75. Clownhead 2, Mr. Miyagi 13 with a 304.48, and we'll come back to him, and look at his team here in a moment. Clownhead 3, Deadeye Owl 247.30. And these are all new first time, top scorers out of the 2 weeks. So, just kind of, hitting their stride. Clownhead 4, Jason Henson 246.22. And Clownhead 5, Turkleton 274.04. And just kind of a shout out, we had kind of selected Jay Batista 10 as the top scorer, and Deadeye Owl as the top scorer, Jason Henson as the top scorer, Turkleton we had in second place, and in our preseason kind of rankings. So that's kind of how they stacked up as far as that goes. So, it looks like we were pretty on if we were to look at things as to who was going to be good in the preseason, even with some of the injuries that have happened. Let's take a look at the Mr. Miyagi team, Brad. What do you see on that team to make it, be a winner? And especially, it wasn't a preseason pick, so it was something that we didn't see coming. You were supposed to have the second best team in this league, and I don't see your name on the list yet, Brad. So, what makes this team good?
I mean, this team probably just had a pretty big week, if I had to guess. Having Kyler and Jaden Daniels, week 1, that Daniels probably wouldn't have been a good pick, but week 2, he kind of balled. Kyron and Ramondre as his running backs, that's as good as it gets in this year. He's got Amon-Ra, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, and Lad McConkey. So, I mean, not too crazy for the receivers, but they pretty much had a good week. And then Mark Andrews and George Kittle as his tight ends, which, I mean, Andrews hasn't been that good this year yet. But Kittle definitely had a good week last week. And then he obviously has J.K. Dobbins and Jaden Reed, who have both been very good the first 2 weeks.
Looks like there's not a whole lot of quarterback depth, though, behind it. So, when the bye week starts, it's going to be tough to have this team, take off, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like he's only got like Mike Williams and Roman Wilson as like notable players on his bench.
Gotcha. Yeah, that'll play a role for sure. I think, as far as that goes. Clownhead 6 through 10, that's more of a startup last year for some of these teams. And we have MB Gut 283.25 for Clownhead 6. Clownhead 7, Psalm 3303, 305.84. Clownhead 8, Redneck 88, 307.91. Clownhead 9, It's the Principal, 274.79. Clownhead 10, Nick Merkel, 259.07. This week, Redneck 88 coming back twice in a row with the top scorer out of Clownhead 6 through 10. And kind of looking at this, the computer wasn't or we didn't pick, the winners quite near as closely. Psalm 3303 and Clownhead 7, we kind of got right. And that's the only person on the board, really out of these other ones, there. And I was supposed to have a good team in Clownhead 6, and I'm nowhere to be found either. But, Redneck 88 wasn't really supposed to be good, and here we are with a second week in a row top scorer. Devin Shane looks like one of the reasons.
And oddly enough, Jaden Daniels is is in his lineup as well. I mean, the team looks like it just had a good week, but I mean, he's got Pacheco going to IR now, and he still has Saquon and a chain and Etienne and Jahmyr Gibbs as running backs, so at least he's set losing Pacheco.
Yeah, and he has Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield playing out of their mind as 2 of his 3 quarterbacks. So I mean, there's enough there that he's trotting out 3 high-end quarterbacks right now. With where things are.
And then Devonta Smith without AJ Brown was real good. Zay Flowers has been playing well. Pollard hasn't even been doing well, but he it doesn't matter for this team. I mean, they're all kind of balling except for him.
But I'm looking here just to who goes. Well, Pierce could go in, or Jackson
Oh,
Smith Jigba go in for the
He's got Njoku
Pacheco
hurt.
situation. But there is some holes there. Really, there is some holes when the bye weeks start. And you have two people, missing. You're kind of there's two subs there, but beyond that, there's not much else to do much with. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to put AJ Dillon in the lineup. That isn't going to get you a top finish. So, a point of emphasis though, Redneck did win last year, so he would knock out the Empire pod if he were able to run it back. So yeah, that's something to look at. And one of the things that I like to take notice of as we're looking at teams, and I'll kind of go into that maybe more in another video, but when I start to look at my teams after week 4, I am looking at that like, okay, how is the team going to perform during the bye weeks, and can I make a move here? Am I one move away from making my team good and performing high? So one of the strategy plays, I guess, that you can have in this kind of an environment. And I don't know if you look at that, Brad. I do a lot more trading. Of my trading, I say after week 4 is when I do the majority of the trading I do in a given fantasy football season. That's the week that I tend to, capitalize on what the buys are coming, especially if I have players that maybe other people need. So that's kind of where we look. Looking at the Elite 8, this is the first 96 team league that we started in. So Division A, we had Andy Timberland, 249.13. Division B, Kodiak Snack, 276.52. Division C, Team Potson, 277.19. Division D, Aussultations, 256.76. Division E, Trader Dan, 308.26. Division F, Achilles the Hub, 312.59. Division G, the Dutch Dynasty, 302.46. And Division H, the Riverbed DP, 262.29. Division F had Achilles the Hub as the top point getter. We can take a look at that team. Just kind of looking over it, Kodiak Snack in Division B won back-to-back weeks, with the top scorer out of that. And other than that, we have all new players, in the other 7 divisions. So, that had the top score in the division. So a lot of mediocrity, or a lot of mediocre play, from 1 to 2.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at Achilles' team, having Hurts and Card playing well right now definitely helped. And then he had Kamara and James Cook, who both went off this week.
Yeah.
And then Olave, Devonta Smith, Jameson Williams, and Chris Godwin all had good weeks. So, I mean, it's kind of easy to see that where his team was good this week. He didn't even need Sam Laporta or Jatavian Sanders to go off to.
Well, Godwin also had the big week. I think it seems like he's playing above his head a little bit. Looking here, what's the depth look like on the bench? Because as you know, once we start getting into the whole Chase Brown, I mean that's
Algier, Wan'Dale Robinson, Quentin Johnston, Romeo Dubs, Keenan Allen. Looks like he's got some depth.
And he could put Taysom Hill in the quarterback spot to get some points. I mean, again, depending on whether Taysom comes back from the hospital, he got admitted in that game. So
he's got Tank Bigsby in the taxi, Jaleel McLaughlin.
He's got a lot of backup quarterbacks too. So should there be some more injuries, he just doesn't have the injuries to the right guys currently. But there's some ability there to maybe have the right players there. But looking ahead, we might not have Joe Mixon, we might not have Pacheco this week. So then there's 3 people he's got to just insert right away. So
that's what's pretty crazy is it seems like all the teams have Pacheco on their team, the top scorers this week.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that definitely is the case. So that's good luck to him. But yeah, the injury bug has definitely set in there a little bit. Looking at the Big 8 and our final 96 team, we have Wandada in Division S with a 294.54. Division T, MB Gut, 284.25. Division U, Purcell, 22 at 254.36. Division B, By the Way, 9E, 250.75. Division W, River AD, 272.01. Division X, JSL 111, 295.81. Division Y, C Yates 87 with a 306.90. Division Z, Nikki 1187 with a 298.36. So as we pull up CY Yates, just kind of looking at the Big Eight, we had Wandata that won, had a top scorer in Division S both weeks, and JSL 111, who was our top scorer overall, brought it back and had a good week to win Division X this week as well.
I played it this week.
What was that, Brent?
I played against him this week.
The JSL 111.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a big week. Looking at C Yates 87. These are different players here, right? I mean,
yeah, he's got a totally different team here. Besides Kamara and Dobbins, who definitely anchor his team, he's got Jordan Mason in there. He started Pat Mahomes, Dak Prescott, and Kirk Cousins. And then he has Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, Chuba Hubbard in there, and then his wide receivers are Devontae Adams and Hopkins. And Hopkins really hasn't done much this year yet.
I started to see some of the bench there with Minshew. It looks like he's got some depth.
And he's got Walker on the bench here because he was out. Gesicki, if he needs to trot in a tight end, and Hurst. He's got Hollywood Brown on the IR. Jalen Polk on his taxi. He's got some stuff brewing down there, honestly. Elijah Moore, Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, no, there looks like some teams that can withstand some injuries, and what's in his lineup right now doesn't look like it's injured. And, it looks like it's all healthy, what he's got up. Jordan Mason, I saw, was a consensus ranked number 1 running back this week going into week 3, projected to be the number 1 running back. And a good offense naturally, but that's something to kind of consider, there. You said that you got beat by JSL 111 in this division, Brad. What are your takeaways? First 2 weeks of tournament play. You have a team, both the Big Eight and the Elite Eight. How are you doing in those two, and what are your takeaways? So far, and what are you? How are you feeling about your teams?
I was projected to be in the top 2 in the Big Eight, and I am 0-2 to start out. So it's definitely harder in the Big Eight for me anyway. The Elite Eight, I think I'm 2-0 in my division. So I don't know what's going on. It's kind of flip flopping there.
Now, in the Elite Eight with 2-0, are you one of the top 2 seeds, or is there more than 2-0 teams?
Let's see here. I am the 5th seed at 2-0.
Okay, so you got to keep winning. So your points aren't good enough yet, even at 2-0, to be in the championship hunt. So you're going to have to figure out a way to get some more points.
Yeah.
Well, and can keep winning. How do you look in week 3? Are you feeling like pretty solid about your team week 3 to get in the 3rd win?
I'm projected to lose by like 40 points. So
okay, so you as in these tournaments, you just got to go out and just freaking win. I mean, I play in a couple of leagues where the top scorer gets some money, and the division, the best team out of 6 teams in a division gets some money. And I found that I just have been trying to go get the top points every week. I'm just trying to work the team to get, just go. Being 2-0 isn't good enough for me. I want to just keep smacking, I'm really trying to go get wins and put in points. And, if I've got Pat Mahomes and he isn't getting points, we're putting him on the bench and putting somebody else in that's going to get more points, we're just trying to get as many points as possible. So
yeah.
That's kind of how you have to play the tournaments as well. And then teams like Clownheads 1 through 10, in those environments where you're just trying to get 6 and get into the playoffs, I have a whole different approach. I'm just looking for depth, 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 depth. So, if there's 2 for 1, I'll take the 2 players for the 1 player in those kind of trades, a little bit more just to be kind of secure when the injury bug happens, because I just want to have access to the Jordan Masons of the world, kind of thing. And do you have any waiver pickups that you were really honing in on as we, waivers probably ran, in all of our Clownhead leagues? Is there anybody that you were chasing this week?
I mean, obviously, Kareem Hunt was probably a pretty popular pickup this week.
I saw in one league that you and I both played in. It's not a Clownhead league. It was a league that is $100 fab budget, and the commissioner of that league bid $100 on Kareem Hunt. He just went out and got him.
He must think he's gonna go right in and be a bell cow.
I'm still not convinced that Steele isn't the guy, to be honest with you. I have visions of the way the signing went down. It could be like Dalvin Cook in Dallas. Like it's the same kind of idea.
I don't think anybody's the guy. I mean, Steele's already got 2 fumbles in 2 weeks. I think that's why they signed a veteran.
What do you think is going to happen in Houston? Is Mixon playing? Is it Pierce? Is it Akers? Is it all 3?
If Mixon doesn't play, I think Akers gets the first crack.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of told that there was a face mask on his, if we look at that replay carefully, on that fumble at the goal line, it was a pretty drastic face mask that wasn't called. And so, it seems like the coaching staff's a little bit more forgiving of that fumble because of the circumstances, with it. And so I agree with you. I think I'm trying to balance it because, as everybody that knows me knows, that I have Akers and I are related somehow or other. Like he's like a prodigal child of mine. But I think I was looking at my Akers shares and looking at the chops and ready to hey, I've held on to them all this time. It's time. It's go time for the Akers.
It might finally be.
It might be. I mean, he's not as good as Mixon naturally, but it's go time. Might get some return on investment there with Akers. And how about ETN? Do you find that he's going to come back? And I mean, it's that I know in a league I dropped ETN, a very shallow league, very salary cap based league, but dropped ETN last week to pick up Mixon, as a matter of fact, and now I'm wondering if I don't reverse course a little bit with that sort of situation. But I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. But what do you think of ETN's outlook?
I think he'll pick it up. I think Jacksonville really hasn't been playing well, like as a whole this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that. What do you? We haven't talked since Tua and the quarterback situation in Miami. Are you thinking Skylar Thompson's the guy there, or are you thinking it's more of a it's going to be something more of Tyler Huntley coming in to play quarterback?
I mean, I think Tyler Huntley might give Thompson a way shorter leash, at least.
Okay.
It definitely helps them to not be forced to start Skylar if they don't have to.
And then do you feel like Tua comes back after 4 weeks, or do you think it's a longer term?
I'm not even going to speculate on that. I have no idea.
So you feel like, I guess what I was more saying, who do you put your money into when you're doing fat bids? Are you're thinking Skylar Thompson, or are you thinking Tyler Huntley, or are you thinking, it doesn't matter because it's a 4 week and then it's 2 a time anyway?
I mean, I don't think either of them are going to be good for the receivers. Honestly, okay. I think it's good to get a chain and Mo start. If you can.
And then I don't know where you're landed. I know you were a big apologist for Bryce Young, and that change at quarterback happened. What do you think of Andy Dalton? Is that worth a fantasy stash in like a Clownhead league? I mean, we're looking at the Clownheads, which are 3 quarterback start, and not in your basic 12-team 1 quarterback league. I get it. Andy Dalton has no value, but in Clownheads, do you think Andy Dalton has value? I mean, is that?
I mean, I don't think he has that much value. I think
Okay.
I don't think they've given up on Bryce at all. I think their team's just bad. They're looking for a change to kick gears, kick some tires around.
Do you think they go out to Vegas and get a win? Is that the change that they need, or do you think
No.
they're just bad at football and they go out to Vegas and they don't win?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna win.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I mean, I did not. I'm going to continue to pick Survivor teams and keep wearing my T-shirts each week. But, I was afraid to pick Vegas. I was afraid, kind of like, well, quarterback change.
Vegas looks kind of good. I mean,
they do.
I like Minshew.
No, he's balling, and I mean, I can easily say picking against Carolina, but I guess I want to see the first game with Andy Dalton, go down before I go out on the limb and take the Vegas team. I don't know when else I'd take the Vegas team if I don't take them this week, but this is, I was like, I'm not gonna put all the eggs in that basket this week either. I'm gonna let Andy Dalton throw to Deontay Johnson and see how that looks, because that might look okay. I guess I live in a world where I could see that being about the same as Gardner Minshew throwing to Devontae Adams, kind of. Like, I guess I think that Andy Dalton used to throw to AJ Green, and it was pretty good. Like, it was a pretty good situation. So,
Yeah.
I think that could really happen again. So now we're around the league, and we've had a couple quarterbacks kind of fall by the wayside, whether that be injury or replacement in 2 weeks in. We have Jordan Love that also went down. So now the count is at 3. Changes that quarterback. This
and
week.
one you haven't mentioned yet is what happens when Russell Wilson comes back.
Oh yeah, we have 4. We do have 4 because before the season we were looking for Russell to have that job, and Justin took over that job. And I think Justin gets a 3rd win, and even though they're ugly, he can't. Mike Tomlin typically, in his press conference again this week, he was like, we're just preparing like Justin's going to start. Like, that's what it's this company line. Like, that's what he'll keep saying, and then when Justin doesn't win, then we'll see if Russell's ready to play. I think that's kind of how that's going to flow out.
Gotcha.
And if Russell comes back and doesn't play well, then, just looking back at last year, Coach Tomlin wasn't afraid to make the change to Mason Rudolph when he wasn't happy with the way things were going with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
And so, I do think that he's not afraid to make a change. Like, it's not, it'll see how the team. But I also caution us because I do think Russell's he's a professional quarterback. He's good at football. Like, this isn't a guy that's not good at football, even though he hasn't played well of late. And maybe it doesn't ever come back to the same skill set that he had in Seattle. He still, it wasn't that long ago that he was a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
And realistically, he played pretty good quarterback last year, inside of the confines of the offense.
I was going to say, yeah, he was pretty good last year.
Yeah. So I'm not really ready to say that is, I would guess, and then maybe this is a sloppy statement. A lot of people, they'll probably hit the dislike button when I say something like this, but I would imagine that I would say that Russell Wilson's a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill today, currently.
Maybe.
So, and maybe the NFL thinks that too, because Russell has a job and Ryan Tannehill doesn't, and not that Ryan couldn't. I mean, he's a good professional quarterback as well, but I would just say that if I'm picking teams, I'd rather have Russell run my team than Ryan Tannehill, in present day. And, that's not that Ryan's bad. And I don't think Ryan goes to Miami. I could see if there wasn't a Tua return, a guy like Jimmy G going there, and he comes off of suspension this week. So Jimmy G back in action, and, we'll be interesting to see what the Rams do with their quarterback situation with no running back or no receivers eligible. If they move one of the quarterbacks, it wouldn't shock me if Jimmy G went to Miami, or it wouldn't shock me if Trey Lance went to Miami, or Mac Jones went to Miami. Like, these are all people that I could see would make some sense for Miami if they don't think that Tua returns this year, like a reclamation project. Zach Wilson, one of those guys that maybe lost their job, somewhere else that was a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
That, they can relive the Baker Mayfield or the Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold playing playing ball. He's playing ball.
Oh yeah.
And it's a fair statement. So that's kind of what I see in the quarterback room, and then a lot of injuries in the running back room. So it'll be interesting to see how they all go. How about the rest of your team? We touched on your tournament teams. Was there anything that you're doing unique, maybe week 3 in your redraft or your dynasty teams that you just want to kind of get out to the Clownhead community and?
Not too much. I'm sticking with my gun. So if I've been going well, I'm gonna keep starting my healthy guys. I did lose a couple guys to injury, but
yeah. Well, I guess I think what you do well at, and what I try to adopt is we don't panic when we see guys that are maybe not performing. We don't panic. We keep starting our guys because they're the best players for the team, and that's what we built the team around. And there's no reason to panic when a guy like Deontay Johnson, for instance, isn't playing well. It's just a matter of time until he'll separate and he'll play well. There's no reason to panic on ETN as a whole. Like we have ETN, we're going to keep utilizing that. And I actually think, I was thinking the other day that my Ayuk shares with all the injuries in San Francisco have got, they're very good about peppering the superstar that's available.
Well, and there's only 2 left in San Francisco now.
Right. And so the Kittle shares and the Ayuk shares are let's go shares at this point.
Yeah, that's what
so.
that's in the ball.
They're let's goes, and so if you have the ability, if you want to know the buy lows in my world, I'm thinking Ayuk is a buy low. He hasn't really taken off yet. You might be able to get him cheap, and so if you guys see if you've held you've watched this whole way to here, you'll see some Ayuk trades going out from me this week, and I'll probably send some of those out, and we'll look to do that. But that's kind of a wrap for week 2. We'll hopefully have some new winners coming out week 3. We'll wish everybody luck. 14 guys still in the survivor pool, so hopefully you guys all make it through till next week, and we don't have a very long list, and want to encourage everybody to jump in the DraftKings. $10 is all it takes, and you too can jump in there and try to take your hand at getting an extra $50. So it's never bad to or more. So never bad to get to return some money in that game as well, in the daily game. So any departing words, or do you have any tough matchups? I'm not sure if we play each other, Brad. I thought maybe I saw us against each other. So we'll have some sparring that'll happen, I think, this week. And I'll try to beat you. So
I don't know. Oh yeah, we do in one league.
What league are we playing each other in?
Heroes Get Remembered.
Yeah, that's the league where the $100 Kareem Hunt.
2-0.
What?
We're both 2-0 in that league.
Okay, so it's for all the marbles then. Okay, I didn't remember that, but my team's really good there in that league. So I do think it's pretty good. So we'll look forward to that we'll see how things go. So until next week, that's all for now, but definitely good luck in week 3, and stay away from the injury bug, I guess is the best advice I can give. So long for now.